Hello, everybody. I know there's a bit of a delay between what I'm saying here and what you guys are going to be hearing on the stream. So, give a second hello, everybody. I know there's a bit of a delay. I'm taking our stream audio and piping it back into the stream. That's not good. Guys, if you can give me a little mic test here. I want to see from chat if everybody is about the same level. Carl, can you say something? Say hello.
Good evening, everybody.
That's Carl. Moon.
Hello. Good to be here.
There he is. And that's it. That's all our... Oh, wait. Mr. Skybound is here.
Oh.
Yo, what's up?
Yo. It's Mr. Skybound. Chat, does everything sound good on our ends? We want to make sure that one of us is not too loud. Sounds leveled. Great. Okay, well, it's 7:01. I'm going to do a quick spiel here before we jump into the episode. We've got the live chat going. Swizz and myself will be kind of monitoring chat. Our goal here is to do a regular episode like we would always do when recording. We're going to really hyper fixate and focus on the issue at hand, kind of go through it page by page and our thoughts. You guys in chat, feel free to drop comments or talk about whatever you want. We can talk about spoilers here. It's okay. Just know that as we talk about the issue, we're probably not going to be reading chat live just because I know at least I'll get too distracted. But again, Swizz and I will be in there to kind of talk to people. And then at the end, if we've got time, we will probably jump over to doing some Q&A and talking more directly to the chat. So... with all of that aside, let me check all my settings and make sure that everything looks good. Moon, I'm going to hand it off to you to get into our regularly scheduled episode stuff.
All right. Well, thank you, Delta. And to everyone else, hello and welcome to a very special episode of Teletran Tapes. And the reason why it is so special is obviously, one, we're doing this live. This is the first time we've gone live as a group. And this is actually the first time that I've ever done a live stream. So I'm sure that everything will be fine and nothing will go wrong. But anyway, I'm Moonbase3. And I'm joined, as always, by Swizz Prime, Delta Tryon, and Carl from Carl's Collection.
What is happening, everybody?
So, the other reason why this is a special episode is because we are covering issue 24 of Transformers. And this is it. This is the end of Daniel Warren Johnson's run. And... it's also the end of Jorge Corona's run as the main artist. We'll see him again in a backup story for issue 25. But basically, writer Robert Kirkman and artist Dan Mora will be taking over the title with issue 25. So this is kind of the end of an era. And with that in mind, I just wanted to start off, without getting into the specifics of the issue just yet, about how we're doing, what the vibe is, because I know that I, for one, am feeling some conflicting emotions. This is bittersweet for me, I would say, because I really enjoyed the series so much, and I've been eager to see the complete picture of what Daniel Warren Johnson was going to do with his time on the series, and I've wanted to see that complete story since the first issue dropped. And now that we're here, I'm feeling a lot of positive things about the issue and the run itself, but I'm also feeling some sadness as well. So yeah, I just don't want it to end. But I'm curious how you guys are doing and how you're feeling about where we're at with the series right now. And Carl, I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's start with you.
Pressure's on. Yeah, I'm gonna mimic some of or echo some of the things that you said. It's definitely a mixed emotions kind of day. Something we've been looking forward to for both looking forward to and dreading for a while. I know the series will take a new direction next month. But we've always thought like, oh, issue 24, since Daniel Warren Johnson explained that, hey, I'm gonna do a 2-year run on the series. We always knew 24 was the end, so we've kind of dubbed it the end. It's not the end of the series. It's not the end of the Energon universe. That will continue. There will be plenty of stories in the future, but it has to be viewed as an end for Daniel Warren Johnson, naturally. So it's difficult. I found, even in thinking about the issue and reflecting on the issue, I had a hard time balancing this is the end, it's not the end. So, expecting, the expectations had to, how do I say that? You had to service the story as a whole and also service the Daniel Warren Johnson portion of the story. So, yeah, I still have some mixed feelings, mixed emotions. So I'm looking forward to talking about them with you guys here tonight.
Right on. How about you, Swizz?
It's a very special day. I mean, 2 years of this story. It's kind of weird. Like 24 issues have just come and gone. So definitely a little like emotional. It's like, dang, like this the story's all, at least the story arc's being wrapped up, but yeah, very, very cool and special day. Special enough that we're doing a live stream, right? So pretty cool nonetheless.
Yeah. And how about you, Delta?
I think the
He's busy
best
playing with his toys.
I think the best way to I'm trying to keep people visually here. I think the best way I can describe my feelings on it is the overused gif from The Office of Michael standing there crying but smiling at the same time. It's a very happy and yet sad kind of encompassing feeling. It's crazy, like you guys have all said, 2 years. It both does feel like 2 years, and it also doesn't feel like 2 years to look back on and go, wow, we're finally here. It's such a monumental moment.
Yeah, I remember when it was first announced that Johnson was going to be the one to do Transformers, and I was just blown away because he was maybe the last creator I would have expected that would have taken the gig. And I was like, he'll do like 5 or 6 issues, maybe 10 or 12 tops. So I think the fact that we did get 2 years, like 24 issues, like that's been a real treat. And yeah, I've said this before, but I think Johnson's best work is still ahead of him. And so I know intellectually that we, as Transformers fans, need to let him go make some more great creator-owned work so that we, as comic book fans, can get some more awesome stories. But there's definitely a selfish part of me that wishes he and Jorge could just stay on the book forever.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But alas,
maybe they'll go off and do a creator-owned of their own. And,
now that would be
Yeah,
cool.
they could do the GoBots,
I'd be on board
guys.
with that.
There we go. Let's get a GoBots
No.
cross. When are the GoBots joining the Energon universe? That's what I want to know.
Hopefully never.
Ooh.
Tensions are brewing already.
Already.
Swizz, not a fan.
We haven't even opened the comic yet, and Swizz and I are
We
already
haven't
fighting.
even opened the cover. Delta and Swizz are already at odds. Anyway, let's go ahead and open the comic and let's start like getting into this because we kind of have a lot to cover, but also not a lot to cover. It's an interesting issue. So issue 24 picks up right after the ending of issue 23 with Optimus Prime charging at Megatron, and we open up with this headbutt, and The next couple of pages are pretty light on dialogue, very heavy on action, with Jorge's art carrying the whole sequence, just breathing a ton of brutality into it. And we've got kind of all the touchstones of his art really in this action sequence. There's just hailstorms of these mechanical shards that are just flying off of both of the characters, enormous hip skirts, and some very gnarly Megatron teeth.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out.
And so the two do battle for a little bit, and then we get this very cool moment where we have Optimus charging Megatron again, and there's just this sound effect, this repeating sound effect of Optimus's thundering footsteps as he charges and transforming midair. And once he's in truck mode, we kind of see something that is a little similar to what Astro Train tried to do to Megatron, who he also did it to Soundwave, transforming and then just charging into him. But here, Optimus is a bit more successful than Astro Train was in knocking Megatron off balance. And that's kind of the moment where it kind of shifts a little bit, and Optimus makes the classic hero mistake, opens a dialogue with the villain before launching into what I'm sure is a wrestling move of some sort, but I am not a wrestling guy, so I don't know what that is. So I'm going to depend on some kind soul out there to inform us.
Mrs. Tryon should be in the chat. Hopefully she can she can school. Or Carl, tell us, what is this move?
I don't know.
A body slam.
I don't know the specific name, but it's just him. It's like a
body slam.
He's just flying off the top rope. It's just like I don't know if that's like not really a crossbody, but I just see him fly.
Slam.
It's kind of
I see him jumping off the top rope.
We got the slam
but
effect.
yeah.
So
kind of looks like what I look like when I'm
slam
going
works.
to bed, hopping in bed.
But anyway, this section takes a more dialogue-heavy turn, where Optimus and Megatron start to debate what makes Optimus weak or strong, and Megatron decides to drive his point home by using Optimus's greatest weakness against him, which are the gathered humans, brutally murdering a family nearby. And this causes Optimus to hesitate, which gives Megatron an opening. And he begins to... I think that he begins to impart, you just know that he has this whole idea in his head of how he wants this whole lesson to go. And I think that this is where it's starting, where he says you can't make the hard choices, you can't lead this way, and you can't save Cybertron this way. And I love that little sequence, especially that middle panel. Just the way that Corona has drawn Megatron there, something about the angularity and the dynamic movement of it really reminds me of Transformers, Marvel artist Jeff Senior, his work on Transformers. But Megatron lays out Optimus, and rather than finishing off here and there, he has Laserbeak and Starscream lift Optimus into the air, and they drop him on what I believe is the Willis Tower, which is kind of a cool little way for Johnson to integrate his hometown of Chicago. And Prime is just impaled, just stuck here on the Willis Tower, and Megatron is prepared to impart his final lesson. And we're going to take a pause right here so that we can just kind of check in with the rest of our hosts and just kind of get some general reactions to the comics so far, all the action we've seen, the back and forth between Optimus and Megatron. So, yeah, talk to me, Swizz. What do you got?
Well, I love everything that happens here because it shows Optimus Prime's only weakness, and that is just caring for everyone and everything. And this is a theme that Optimus Prime has in a lot of Transformer stories, and that he tends to hesitate. And I think Warren Johnson and Corona do a wonderful job of showing that hesitation as, like you said, like Optimus was pretty much like winning this fight, and then just with a snap of fingers, letting Megatron talk, letting Megatron see Optimus' weakness, it just goes completely. It just takes a complete 180. And I want to talk about this amazing teamwork. I was speechless when I was reading this last night, but like Laserbeak and Starscream just picking up Optimus and then throwing him up in the air and just dropping him on that tower. Oof, oof, oof.
I didn't know Laserbeak had that kind of strength.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I didn't even notice it was Laserbeak at first. Like I thought it was just Starscream. So I like to imagine like Laserbeak's like picking him up, but also like nibbling at his broken arms. Like, yeah, take that. Like, take that, man.
Do you think
So
Laserbeak is even contributing to picking up the weight, or is it all on Starscream?
Probably not. It's probably all Starscream.
It's like when you're moving a couch with your buddy and the other guy's just not helping.
Like holding from the middle part of the couch, not really doing anything. Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what it is.
Laserbeak has like the half completed arm, and he's like, I can handle maybe this arm, and that's about it.
So I mean, I love the combat, like the combat and the action, and these first couple pages are really well done, and I love that this is a theme that Megatron tries to point out in this issue, and that's Prime's hesitation and Prime's, Prime not wanting to make the hard choice. So I think it's very well done.
Yeah, I agree. It's a banger of a sequence. Delta, do you have anything that you want to add about this sequence?
The only thing I would add is actually something that Swizz pointed out to me, and for context, Swizz and I stayed up till maybe 4 a.m. today because I had this in digital format via Kindle and he did not yet. So we were cheating on you guys. Sorry guys that we were talking about it, but this is just another thing that we've seen Johnson and Corona do before that always slips in my mind, and that's the fact that Optimus Prime's trailer just kind of shows up to almost act as, I guess, more weight to hitting Megatron, and I just love it. It's very fun and awesome to see, and it doesn't need to be explained. His trailer's not here. He hits him with it, and then it's not, and I totally like that. And the other thing is, I'm sure this is not an actual reference. I'm sure this is just Daniel Warren Johnson and Corona were like, hey, we need something in the background. But that tank behind Megatron, that trailer behind Megatron, awfully familiar. It kind of looks like the Generation 2 Optimus trailer. Just saying, it looks very familiar.
Yeah.
Whether it was intentional or not, who knows?
I thought the same.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
So it wasn't just me going crazy, being like, Generation
No.
2 confirmed.
But that's a good point about the trailer adding some extra weight. Maybe that's why he was able to knock Megatron around a little bit easier.
Hopefully he doesn't have any more dead Autobot bodies in there like he did.
Yeah, hopefully
earlier.
they cleared that out when they were at the
They're just
dam.
bouncing around in
It
there.
just magically appeared and just quickly dumped out all the body parts and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's
Well, actually, maybe it's
that's
in there
part of the
for
weight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That adds to it.
Yeah, totally. Carl?
Yeah, and I mean, I would have been okay if this whole issue was more of this fighting, and in some ways, I kind of thought that might be what we were gonna get. Now, naturally, not all of me thought that because there has to be more story beats and more content here to talk about and a lot of ground to cover as far as what's going to happen in the story. But I loved this. I loved that it was you had Optimus Prime on the offensive, and then Megatron saw his opening to prove his point, and Megatron was proven correct. That is, he knows he's pegged Optimus Prime 100%. He knows this guy, so he knows what he's gonna do. He knows how he's gonna react, and he knows he's gonna have an opening once he threatens these humans. So I like that it proved Megatron right, and I like that Optimus Prime, he acted in the way that Megatron thought he was going to. So I thought it was very fitting. I didn't love that Optimus was like sidelined so quickly in the issue, but we can talk about that later on. But I one nod that I think I got, like on the page that you have there, Delta, the page on the left, the top panel on the left.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like, is that like a move out of the Matrix? Like I feel like I remember seeing like
That kind of double
go
fist
back,
punch. Yeah, I'm on it.
yeah, turn the page. Yeah, so when he like kind of like turns and like does the double fist punch to the chest of Optimus, like I feel like that's like in like the Matrix, like the Neo and Agent Smith fight. But I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly or not. But it just feels like
It does
like a
feel
Matrix
like that.
move.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it is from it,
I,
but it feels like it.
yeah, I love that panel. I love that one. And then you just get Prime being taken out, and it's directly because he stopped to consider the humans. And I feel like until then he wasn't thinking about the humans. He was solely focused on Megatron. Megatron saw his opening, and then Optimus did exactly what he was expected to do. So, but yeah, I loved it. I mean, I love this whole opening sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, I referred to it earlier as Megatron exploiting Optimus's greatest weakness, which I cribbed from Delta's video because I wanted to bring up the other part of that Delta raised an excellent point. And well, we'll get to that in a second. We'll keep moving through the issue here because what happens next is we see kind of the aftermath of the big battle that started last issue between Ultra Magnus and the Autobots and the Decepticons, and it is a dire scene. Like all the Autobots are pretty much laid out, although the Decepticons have suffered some casualties. Well, not necessarily casualties, but taken some licks themselves. And we see Ultra Magnus and RC kind of sharing this moment. It seems like they're on their last leg. And then Spike and Carly approach to do what exactly? Nobody knows. It's kind of the same thing when Spike was going to go help Optimus before he got shot.
It's the thought that counts.
But it's the thought that counts. It really is. Like they're
gonna get
it's like we're with you until the end. That's basically what this is. It doesn't matter if we can't actually do anything, but we're going to do whatever we can. But then Starscream just appears out of the smoke and the flames and just picks them up. And then we see on the next page, off panel, he also grabbed the wounded beachcomber, which confirmation that he survived. So maybe that preview for issue 25 is not a fake out.
I think I was potentially wrong. It happens.
I was right there with you, man.
Kirkman is he's tricky, so
Yeah.
you never know.
I wish it was a fake out.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later.
I'll go on record saying I'm happy and glad. I thought the Beachcomber moment from issue 23 was fantastic, emotional. I still love it. I still love what he did. I think it would have been a fitting way for him to go out, but I'm also, I'm happy. I'm happy that he's still kicking. So some mixed emotions, but happy to see there's going to be more Beachcomber in the future.
Yeah. most definitely. Starting with this issue, even as we get another little beachcomber moment where Megatron commences his lesson. Um, it's a lesson in cruelty, basically. He offers Optimus a choice. Optimus needs to choose who will live and who will die. Either a Cybertronian pure in heart and form, as Megatron says, or his precious human friends. You know, gotta love it when friends is in quotes. Makes it more condescending. So anyway, if Optimus doesn't choose, then Megatron is just going to kill them both.
The illusion of
And
choice.
yeah, exactly. So Megatron transforms into gun form, and Beachcomber steps up. He's like, "Hey, let it be me, please." And Prime refuses, and so Megatron is just like, "All right, well, we're gonna do them both, and we're gonna start with the humans." And I do wanna point this out because I'm sure that we'll get into this a little bit, but there has been some chatter ever since we saw Starscream's origin about Starscream's redemption arc, and I am not convinced that that's what they're doing here because when he is prompted to execute all three of these beings, Starscream says gladly, and but before he can do anything, we get this amazing double splash of Omega Supreme, who has been summoned to Earth by that transmitter that was attached to the Nemesis that we learned was still active. In a previous issue, I think both Swizz and Delta. I think you said it was issue 20 in your
I got that
videos.
from Swizz, so if he lied to me.
Yep.
Okay.
No, it was issue 20.
He might have said it just
Yeah,
to
it
make
was.
me look like a fool. I don't remember.
No.
Well, so then we get a great callback to a moment in Oktar's past when they were trying, him and Genvo and Jetfire were trying to get the attention of Omega Supreme, and they're waving to him, and then Omega Supreme waves back. Here, we see Omega look at Starscream and wave at him. And Starscream waves back, and although Megatron is shouting at him to follow his commands, we see in the last panel on this page, Starscream's eyes are completely in shadow, and then we get this nice splash of his eyes gone blue, back to when he was Oktar, and yeah, he kind of just asserts himself and says, "My name is Oktar," in another act of defiance. And then we get another splash. Great image of Omega Supreme, by the way. Love how blocky he is. It's just, man, it's just,
Makes you want to buy
it's
the
just
toy.
all blocks.
He's a brick.
Yeah, he's a brick. He's a brick. But in the background, we see the tower and we see a purple blast shooting up into the sky. And then on the next page, we see Starscream's face reduced to indistinct cubes and smoke. And Megatron is transforming, and he's saying, "No, no." And then once he transforms, he says, "You always were a pathetic vessel, Starscream. I never should have chosen you." As Starscream's body just kind of rolls off the edge of this tower. And I know that this particular scene has also caused a bit of talk on the internet about what exactly is going on here, whether or not it was Starscream who shot himself or Megatron. And you know, at first I was like, it's completely obvious that it was Megatron, or sorry. At first I thought it was completely obvious that it was Starscream who shot himself because of Megatron's reaction, where he's saying no repeatedly. Uh, that just kind of seemed like he was unhappy about the result that was happening. Maybe not distressed, but kind of distressed. Um, but the more I thought about it and considered why there might be some confusion about this part, I mean, I suppose you could make the case that this is kind of like Megatron saying like, "No, bad dog," kind of something like that.
Yeah, a chastising.
But I'm curious. Like, what do you guys think about this? I mean, and we can go back to a couple of the other the preceding moments leading up to this, but I'm definitely curious if you guys have any thoughts in terms of what specifically happened here. I thought it was a great move on the part of the creative team to kind of pull back from this moment so that we don't explicitly see what happens. Um, but yeah, just to round this up, like what I said earlier, Delta, something that stuck out to me from your video was how you said that Megatron's greatest weakness was Starscream. And we've seen that before, and we really see that driven home here, where at the moment where Megatron is in control, it just all goes to seed.
It all falls apart.
So, yeah, exactly. So, Delta, I guess let's start with you. What are your thoughts on this section?
Yeah, I think a good way that I can expand on my mention about Megatron's weakness being Starscream, I think now that I've had more time to think about it, a better way that I probably could have put it, and again expanded on it, was that it's not necessarily, in my mind, Starscream that is Megatron's weakness, but it's Megatron's relation to his troops, that he has to kind of force them and to use them in an abusive way, and that ultimately falls apart. You wouldn't see this with the Autobots. So it's at least in my mind, it's bigger than what I originally said of, Megatron's weakness is Starscream. Furthering that, I know there's a huge. I always say it's a debate. It seems like a friendly back and forth between if Starscream shot himself or if Megatron did. When I first read it, I thought Starscream shot himself, and then over time I thought, well, it kind of makes more sense to me that maybe Megatron did it. I think either way you look at it, it works, and I think there is some merit to both angles. I personally think that it was Megatron who did it. I agree. I kind of see his exclamations of no, not in a like a. To me, it doesn't feel like Megatron's going, no, why did you do that? But it is more like a, bad dog, no, listen to me. It didn't really, to me, it does not feel very Daniel Warren Johnson to have Starscream end his own life. I can understand why some people see it that way. I don't think it's, morally wrong to maybe look at that. For me personally, I just see it as, he has this moment of remembering who he is, and he's like, you get this moment of peace almost in Starscream's eyes. He's like, I'm Ulktar. And then you just cut to this blaster shot, and Megatron's like, no, you're not. You're my property, and you're a waste of space. And he takes care of him. That's how I interpret it now. But I'd be really interested to hear from the rest of you guys as to how you see it.
For me, when I first read it, one, it was late, so I was kind of tired. I was like, I thought at first I was like, is Megatron firing an Omega Supreme? That seems pointless. But and I was like, no. So when I went back, I personally, I can see how it could be read either way. But for me, I think it's pretty obvious that it's Starscream is at peace with who he is in this moment, and he knows he needs to break free from Megatron. I don't feel like it's necessarily a redemption arc for Starscream, because he was still kind of going down that path. I mean, I haven't read issues 13, 14 in a while, but I feel like he was
He's still
already
a bad
kind of
guy.
going down that path, and then
Yeah.
Megatron kind of pushed him over the edge, right? So he was like a willing participant, but then he was like an unwilling participant when it got really, really serious, and that's when Megatron had his complete sway over Starscream.
He still
So,
killed Carly's
not
dad.
a full redemption. What's
Yeah.
that?
He still killed Carly's dad without Megatron's influence.
Right. So, but when he was All-Star, he was still
Yes.
kind of going down that path, and I think that's the key here, is that it's him breaking free from Megatron. I don't think Megatron would willingly, knowing what is still happening. Optimus Prime is still there. It's not the problem hasn't been dealt with. I don't think Megatron would sacrifice his trigger hand. I don't think he would do that. I think it's Starscream's act of defiance, and Starscream's story is not done. I mean, he's proven to be a character who is very hard to eliminate, and he will be back. And I think there's allusion to that later on in this issue. But for me, it's pretty clear, and I think that one of the reasons why I think it's really clear is that pulled back shot of Omega Supreme flying off, because it's a sensitive subject if it was Starscream, pulling the trigger. And I think to draw that up close is much more jarring and difficult to watch, to read, than it would be by pulling it back. And I think that was the moment where I was like, oh, you know what? I think it really is Starscream who pulled the trigger and did it willingly. So I think it's just Megatron reacting, being very pissed off, and then acting like, it's like, you know what, I don't need you anyway. And really, he did. He needed Starscream. Otherwise, he would have eliminated him, issues ago. So that's that's why I believe what I believe. I think I can see how there could be it's up for interpretation, and that's cool. I love when comics do that. It allows us to have these discussions, and that's a sign of a good comic in my mind. So, if you can talk about it with your friends, like, hey, what do you think this means? What that's great. And for me, it's pretty clear, but I'm not gonna tell anybody else that they're wrong in how they interpret it.
I love that we have
But
different.
Delta,
takes on
you're
it.
wrong.
No, I'm gonna rip this up on you. No, I'm not gonna rip it up.
So no, that's my thoughts on that one. But-
they haven't shied away from showing a lot of the kind of gruesome violence in this comic. So I do think, there's some stuff that like happens off panel, but it's not, some of it's not that intense. Like some of the most intense stuff is shown on the panel. And, I do agree with you, Carl. I think that if it is Starscream pulling the trigger, that is kind of like, that is on a whole other level than kind of some of the other stuff we've seen. It's definitely just a bit more intense than some of the other stuff that we've seen. So I definitely see what you're saying. And like, that does kind of make sense to me. That's another reason why I like kind of lean towards that way, because they pull back so far for the actual blast. But I also agree with you. I do think that it can be read either way. But Swizz, what do you have to say about this scene?
So, okay. I'm not gonna lie, I think the chat kind of swayed my mind, because when I first, was reading with Delta, I was like, oh, like, did he shoot himself, or, was it Megatron? And, I still kind of am like, okay, whatever, like, is the outcome, or whatever, like, who did what, like, the outcome's still the same. Like, Starscream's still missing, most of his head. And I think either way, but I want to shout out Jay in the chat, because you said, I don't think Megatron can fire himself in the gun mode. Like, can we fact check that? Is that true?
I was going to bring that up because I don't know that we've seen him. Like, that's kind of the whole point with Starscream, right? Is he needs like an executioner. So
that's why I just don't
Kinda
think he would
crazy.
like sacrifice that. That's why yeah, I think he needs Starscream. That was like,
Yeah, he needs someone to hold him, and like I
yeah,
think that was like said too with the the origins of Megatron and all that. Like, so I kind of am leaning more on the side of like, yeah, like Starscream, or my bad, Oktar shot himself, because there's a difference, and like that's something I like tried nailing in my video when I was commentating on it. Like, okay, this was Oktar, and then this is Starscream, and I think no matter however you slice it and dice it, if this is Oktar doing this, it still is a cowardly thing to do, because instead of like saying like, yeah, what have I done, I need to like atone for all that, like he just shoots himself, tries to put him out of his like misery. And like I think that's like really, I think it's really well done. However, it does not mean that Starstream, or I guess now Oktar, whoever, I mean, let's be honest, he's probably gonna be like Two-Face. Like he's probably gonna be the new Two-Face. Gonna be like split personality. I hope not. I'm joking. But um I
He's
I
not
don't
redeemed.
think this means, yeah, I don't think this is gonna be like a redemption arc, and it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be like, Transformers Armada, Starscream, no, I don't think so. Like last issue, we literally talked about last episode of the podcast was like, yeah, this shows that there is no redemption for Starscream. And this could literally just be like a moment where Oktar is Oktar and not Starscream. Like I don't know. It's weird to me. I definitely do want to lean on the side of like this was Oktar shooting himself and not Megatron shooting at Starscream. And like I I understand the point of view of like, saying like no, like bad dog, because like that's totally something Megatron would do. Like I would not be surprised, but like look at his like face. Like he looks disgusted. Like he literally looks disgusted, and said, "You always were a pathetic vessel," and said that I never should have chosen you. Like just I don't know. To me now that I think about it, and also too, someone in the chat brought this up, that it's the same outcome to Bumblebee. So Starscream's story, or I guess
Ooh,
Oh
Starscream in this
man.
arc, ends with how
your
the story
favorite, Swizz.
began. Yeah, I like it, bro. I like Bumblebee socks. We are so bad. Bumblebee socks are all the way up. He got he got mentioned somehow by getting
Starscream
his
took out another G1 character.
So yeah, I think it was Starscream.
I think not to step on you there. Sorry,
Yeah,
Swizz.
yeah, yeah. No, go ahead.
I think a big part of that is what you're saying is you're right, and that it's Ultrar, right? So if Omega Supreme passes by and he Starscream waves and has that reminiscing of his times on Cybertron, but he wasn't in this stressful situation and he wasn't currently holding Megatron, Omega Supreme flies by and then his eyes turn red again and he's Starscream. So it's that it was this exact moment that he was more of like his old self and had that momentary break from Megatron's control and was like, no, this is my way out of being Megatron's puppet. So I don't know that it was a like a cowardly way out. I don't know that I would put it that way. I mean, I understand that, but I feel like it's him taking the most control that he possibly can because he is someone who is controlled by someone else. So it's just in that moment he's like, this is my only way to redeem or reclaim any of my own identity. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant, and it adds another layer to the inevitable back and forth between Starscream and Megatron. It changes the dynamic that Starscream will no longer be the trigger man for Megatron, but they're still going to be on the like uneasy allies in the future. I would assume, but it adds another layer to that relationship that I think is important because it's again his story is not done. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that like I I didn't read this as like Oktar experiences regret, or he's like suddenly carrying like the weight of like all the lives he's like taken, like the redemption kind of thing.
Right.
Um or yeah, I mean I think I agree with you, Carl, because it's I read it as an act of defiance, and exactly like what you said, like he is in Megatron's thrall, and he doesn't want to be in Megatron's thrall. We've seen him strain against that, and it's just this moment with Omega Supreme that takes him back to who he used to be when he was free and he had his own choices to make. So I don't know. That's just me. I didn't interpret this as being like any kind of like thing where Starscream was overcome with like guilt for what he's done. It's
Yeah.
more of just like, hey, I want out of this situation because this sucks.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
So, but before we move on from this section, I'm assuming that we're going to do that soon. Can we just go back one more time and talk about Beachcomber? I mean, I know I love the guy, but like, how do you that? I mean, my gosh, I don't even know how to like properly articulate it. I just in that moment I was like, man, I love you, Beachcomber. Like that. What a guy. What an Autobot. And I also love in that panel where he's like, Prime, let it be me, please. That's when you see Optimus Prime start to struggle. Like, no, I need to get out of this. And he's trying to like pull himself up. He's trying to get out of there. He's like, I need to be more of an active participant in what is happening here. And he's really afraid of what's going to happen. So, just a beautiful moment. So, if Beachcomber not being taken out last issue, how I said that would be a fitting way to end. I'm glad he was not, because we get this moment and then another one later on, a heartwarming one. But yeah, Beachcomber's the GOAT, man. He's my guy in this entire series. I love that guy. So
Yeah, I wonder if in the rumored cartoon adaptation, I wonder if we're going to see some of this stuff. I imagine that some of this would hit a little differently with movement, like Prime trying to free himself from being, impaled. I don't know. I don't know if they would go that far, but that is a question for another time.
exactly.
For now, we should get moving through the rest of the comic. So picking up where we left off, Megatron, without an executioner, he decides that he has to do it himself, his fusion cannon. But before he can open fire on Carly and Spike, Shredhead appears out of
Yeah.
nowhere, slicing Megatron. Cheap shot for sure, but I mean, kind of has to be, right? It's Megatron. So, but yeah, we get this great lot of splash pages in this issue. A lot of really good splash pages. But we get this great splash page with Shredhead with this nice reply to Megatron's "I shall do this myself." And Shredhead just shuts that down. "You shall not."
Yeah.
And on the next page, we get the reunion of Carly and her van, in a sense. And I love this panel. It's just the expression on Carly's face. It's like, what the hell?
Doesn't understand what she's seeing. She's amazed
Yeah.
by it, and then all of a sudden, like Cliff Jumper says hi, like, wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
I loved it. That's a great
It's
reaction.
great. So good. And then we have Soundwave.
Launching himself.
Another great, another great moment.
A for effort, buddy.
A
He's
for
really
effort.
trying.
Shredhead makes quick work of Soundwave.
Maybe if he would have transformed into a tape deck and slammed into Shredhead, maybe that would have been.
Oh man, yeah, that
should-
probably would have
just
worked
like-
out better for him.
Just like hits, falls to the ground.
He should leave the pouncing to Ravage.
Yeah. Where's Ravage when you need him? But anyway, Shredhead runs over to Optimus and cuts him free. Just slices through one of these pylons, and Prime falls to the ground, still impaled with this massive beam. I love this line. Again, Shredhead has some good lines this issue, but a new friend sent by an old friend, good stuff.
Yeah.
And Megatron, wounded immediately, even though Optimus is still not looking great in this panel. He knows which way the wind is
Tide is
blowing.
turning. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like, hold on a second, man. Can we just like take a time out here for a second? And
Buddy, friend.
yeah, and then we get the callback to the '86 movie, just
Yes.
completely quoted verbatim. Um, Optimus says, "You who are without mercy." I feel like he even like the ellipses are in the right place for the way like Peter Cullen like
Yeah.
read the line.
So good.
Now plead for it, and then with Hot Rod and Void Rivals, there's nobody to get in the way here. So
Ooh, youch.
Optimus rips that pylon out of him in a great panel. I mean, look at Optimus's face is just in like shadow. Like he is serious. You do not want to be on the receiving end of this, and he just slugs Megatron, saying, "I thought you were made of sterner stuff." And again, we kind of get this callback of Megatron being suspended midair, like in the '86 movie when he did the double fist uppercut thing and knocked him off the ledge in Autobot City. Only here, he doesn't crash to the ground. He's caught by Devastator, and we see that Megatron is still alive, and he orders a retreat. And Bruticus follows Devastator carrying Starscream, who now I can't like not see it, but he is missing half of his skull, like Bumblebee. So karma for Screamer for sure. But anyway, we'll cut there, and yeah, I just what did you guys think about this whole thing with, I mean, we kind of knew that something was going to happen with Shredhead, right? We kind of knew that he was going to help turn the tide. So how do you guys feel about how all of this was handled, and Shredhead's contributions, and Optimus, and the '86 movie references? Carl, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I think, I I think many. I'm assuming that the majority of fans would want to see Prime be the one who takes it to Megatron seriously, like because ultimately it's Shredhead here who does this kind of you know he's like running up on him behind, like stabs him, and then just like discards him behind him, and he's like flying up in the air. So um, that's a pretty devastating blow for Megatron. So he's severely weakened. I think many people would want to see Optimus Prime be the one who does that, but I think story wise, and then this is where it comes into play. Where if this was the if this was the end of this series, if this was the end of Transformers, I would view this sequence a little differently, because I would want it to be Optimus Prime who's the one who steps up and takes care of business. But because this is the larger story being told, I think it works really well to have Shredhead be the one who severely damages Megatron, because it ties into Alita's story, because Alita knew instantly when Shredhead came online that he would be the one to turn the tide of the war, and that is true. It was just the war on Earth, not the war on Cybertron. So I think this needed to happen. He needed to play this big of a role in this fight to further the conflict between Alita and Optimus. So listen, unresolved things, that's great story content for down the line. So I think that it almost needed to happen this way. So I loved it. I thought at first I was like, oh man, I don't know about how I feel about that. Like Shredhead being like kind of overpowered and coming in here and taking out Megatron, and then we got that, at least that moment of, you who are without mercy now plead for it, and he smacks Megatron. If we didn't get that moment, I think I'd be a little more upset. But I love that then Prime is the one who kind of does like he gets the last punch in there, and it's a pretty major one, and sends him flying. So I'm very much okay with how this all played out.
Nice. Yeah. How about you, Delta?
I have to agree. I had seen some comments on a undisclosed Transformers forum that had gotten this issue a day early, and the people on that forum tend to complain a little more so than I think is humanly possible. And I had saw the complaint that Shredhead is the self-insert for Daniel Warren Johnson, and he comes in, he defeats Megatron, and it ruins Optimus. Two things to that. If any of us were writing a Transformer story, I'm sure we would have a self-insert too. And Shredhead's pretty cool in a good way. And also, I just have to disagree. Yeah, Shredhead turns the tide, but he's and we'll get to it later. Oh, actually, I mean, no, we did talk about it on this page. Optimus is the one to defeat Megatron. And it's just such a cool collaborative moment of, a brand new Cybertronian who has been born, working with, arguably not canonically the oldest Transformer, but the most well-known and longest-lasting Transformer in the franchise, kind of combining. And it's just such sick arc, too. This purple background with him coming in with the sword, it's just so cool. I love it. I have not as much to say just because when I see this, to me, it's just eye candy. And I love it. And I will admit that I'm a fake fan. I did not pick up on the movie quote until Swizz texted me again, probably at like 6 a.m. And then I was like, wait, what's that from again? And he was like, okay, so we need a new host for Teletran Tapes because you're off. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's fair.
I was gonna put you on blast.
No, I'll put myself on blast. You know what? You know what it was, Swizz? You can't put me on
Preemptive.
blast because I did what Oktar did. I put myself on
I was
blast.
just gonna say,
Oh,
it was
there we
Ulcar.
go.
That's exactly what I was like.
man.
Does that mean I'm Megatron in the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I did the right thing. I owned up to it. But that's all I have on that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Swizz? Now that you have been revealed to be the villain.
All right, so I'm just gonna talk about this real quick. I'm gonna break this down as a sports commentator. Let's let's look at the precision Shredhead shows when he attacks Megatron. He literally doesn't completely slice off the fusion cannon arm. No, he just slices it enough where it just leaves a big hole and he can't use that arm. And makes quick work of Soundwave like it's nothing. And also too, I like to believe that if this wasn't, like a story or whatever, I'm pretty sure like Soundwave would just be done. If you get sliced, like would be nothing. But we got more issues to talk about in the future, so we can't kill off someone like Soundwave. But I don't understand the complaints of, oh man, Shredhead, basically took down Megatron. No, that's not true. You gotta look at it as like a layup, all right? Shredhead comes in and he helps out Optimus with it's an assist. You gotta look at it like that. It's an assist because look at the teamwork. They don't even know each other, and Shredhead slices off the beam, and Optimus like takes the beam out, and it's a home run. It's out of the ballpark. Do you see how far Megatron goes flying? Look on the page. He's so far gone. Like this is a record-breaking home run from our commander. And don't even get me started on the 86 reference. Like Moon, you nailed it. Like the way it's typed out, you can literally hear Peter Cullen when reading this. It is so well done. I legitimately think there is nothing wrong with Shredhead helping, and I think the whole Shredhead self-insert thing is ridiculous because we've known for a couple issues now that Shredhead was gonna help somehow. I mean, like, it's kind of ridiculous. Did you guys want Shredhead to like jump in and get immediately destroyed by Megatron? Like, that would be such a waste. Like, and this is something we've complained about before with other like new characters being introduced, and they're just kind of like done. Not new, but characters that are being introduced. Like, would you guys really want to go around that carousel again? Like, I know like Beachcomber's kind of like a whatever thing. Like, whether if you like, for me, I kind of like preferred him to like be dead, but I'm kind of glad he's not. just because like how powerful it was last issue. But would you guys have wanted Shredhead to just show up and die? Like, did you guys really want the Cub treatment,
I mean,
the Huffer treatment? No, of course not. So I think
Preach.
this is a beautiful. I think this is a beautiful assist. It's really well done teamwork, and man, the MLB's got to sign Optimus. Like, come on, it's a great batter.
Swizz is out here fighting demons.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, I love the teamwork. I love the fact that, you know, that we've been, this whole time, we've known the Autobots were at a disadvantage. We were shown that Shredhead is a very powerful character, and he's been used sparingly because he's pretty powerful, you know. So there will be a time that maybe he is not as, you know, as powerful. It depends on how he's written in the future or whatever. But in this moment, he is what he needed to be, and it's like I said before, it just serves the story, and it serves the stories to come, not just this moment, but the stories down the line. And that's in a series that's all about the relationships and all about the conflict within, you know, the gray areas between the you know, the infighting with the Autobots, Alita and Optimus, you know. So I feel like it's exactly what it needed to be in this moment.
Yeah, and I don't agree with Shredhead being a self-insert personally, because I mean you could maybe argue that because they essentially transform into the van from Murder Falcon, but I don't know. I just view them as an original character, and like if it really was a self-insert, like Johnson didn't do that much with the character. Like,
if it was
you
a
know,
self-insert, he would be Shredimus Prime. All right, like let's calm down a little bit. Like, he's a cool original character. Like, this was just like you knew he was coming. I didn't want to cut you off, but yeah.
no,
I
totally.
agree.
Like because
Has he not earned
Johnson
that
used
role?
him like Johnson used him like very strategically. I feel like, like because it's, you know, it's not like this new character showed up and just like took over like all the page time. Like Optimus was still kind of the heart and soul of the series, and Shredhead becomes another character that is kind of feeding into Optimus as the central character by being a part of the team and the Autobot family.
We've seen it in the past that Optimus Prime draws his strength from his troops. Like he
Yes.
draws the strength from the fellow Autobots. So why would he? It's the same thing happening here. Like Shredhead comes in and you know, slices Prime down, lets him, like, you know, cuts him free, and then Prime takes it from there. He's like, I'm just gonna rip this thing out of my chest, and like there goes Megatron. And I think it's an epic moment. I think it just is, again. And what I was gonna say before is, I feel like even if you were like, oh, that's Danny Warren Johnson putting his own character in there, like, I would do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And anybody else that was writing a Transformers
Everybody
comic,
would do this, bro.
they would
like,
totally
put
do
their
it.
favorite
So, like,
character in. Like, come on.
and how can we sit here and say that we have loved this arc, we've loved the writing, and then be like, you know what, you haven't earned the right to put your own character into a key plot point? Like, I don't agree with that.
I
So
feel like I've accidentally
He's earned
started a war. For a good reason. For a good reason.
I mean, it's a miracle that Optimus is even like functioning still. Like, and I think that's why like he needed help here. Like, dude, we've seen. Okay, I'm not gonna go on a huge rant here, but we've seen what this guy is capable of. He made quick work of the Combaticons on issue 12. He made quick work of Shockwave. We know this guy is very capable. Of course, he's Optimus freaking Prime. It's a miracle that this dude is still like functioning, bro. Like everything that's happened the last couple of issues. I mean, he has a hole in his abdomen.
he just
And,
woke
like,
up from a
it's a
3-issue nap.
miracle. He's standing. So like he needed look at his right arm.
He just needed a
like
little
Wheeljack
assist.
tried his best. He's got a noodle arm, bro. Like he needed help. What's wrong with that? Come on.
This is the same guy.
Steel beam smokestack.
This is the same guy who ripped his own arm off to beat someone to death with, and he's doing it again here.
Yes. Like, what's wrong with him needing help here? Like, he's very capable. Like, Warren Johnson has done a good job showing that. He went toe to toe with Devastator. Like, come on. Like, this is crazy, bro.
Oh, I love it. I love the
Yeah.
passion.
I
And can we just pause and say the fact that a Transformers comic book is giving us this? Come on, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's amazing.
totally. Yeah, I mean, I what else what else can you say about this section with Shredhead? I feel like
Swizz,
Swizz
I feel like
covered.
I was gonna say, Swizz, did you have anything else to add? Because I feel like you were holding back a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you?
Tell us how you really feel,
I
Swizz.
could I
Like,
could go
don't censor yourself for the live
I could
stream.
talk for
Come
another
on.
2 hours just saying why and how Optimus is very powerful in this story. But I like it's come on, man. Like it's just ugh.
Optimus
That's it.
is
I
him.
on this.
Yeah.
He's him,
He's
bro.
him.
He's the commander.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you, like 100%. I think it's been pretty evident that like Prime is he's the man, you know? Like he can handle just about everything, but he can't handle everything. And that I mean that it just kind of like turns into like, do you want to see like Optimus Prime be like the guy that does everything and solves all of the problems, or
Do you guys
do you
want
want to?
Bayverse 2.0? Like I know like I'm not even saying that like bashing Bayverse. I'm not because I do like some of the Bayverse movies, but like this is a huge like complaint that this Optimus Prime has like had in the story. It's like, oh, he's doing everything. Like, dude, did you think he was gonna like magically like heal himself up after getting off the beam? Like, there was just no way. There was Shredhead making his entrance was very well done, and I will die on that hill. Like self-insert crap, get that out of here, bro. Like I would have done the same thing. If I was writing the story, I would have had freaking Hotshot or Star Saber appear, dude. Like I don't care, dude. Like get out of here
I
with
can
that.
I can
Swizz,
tell
you
you
will have
this right
company
now.
up on that hill.
I can tell you this right now. If I had made an original character, if I was writing Transformers, it would not have been as cool as Shredhead. Like it would have been much lamer than Shredhead. So,
And he's still
you know,
taking out Megatron, like he still would have showed up and like been inserted to the story because why not?
Wind
He's a-
Charger saving the day. There we go, guys.
Yeah.
but anyway, I think we've said enough about Shredhead and this scene. Plenty to chew on there and reflect upon. The internet definitely got put in its place by Mr. Swizz Prime. I direct all complaints to Swizz Prime. But moving on, we just got a little bit of the issue left, and this is really where we get kind of the closing segment, the part of this comic that Johnson has done so well. And this whole series is like an exercise in Johnson juggling insane, over the top action with these kind of more tender, quieter moments, reflective moments, meaningful moments, emotional moments. And we get one final glimpse of Sparky in a flashback to the day that Spike was born. Great series of panels here. And that is used as a transition to Optimus waking Spike up and his palpable relief that Spike is okay. And then we get this is the other moment, the Beachcomber moment that Carl mentioned earlier. And man, I loved this part where we just have Beachcomber who has kind of in the past, I don't want to say he's been like kind of like defiant or obstinate, but he's just been very like clear about who he is and like what he wants to be. You know, he's just like, I'm not going to fight. Like, I don't want to do this. But here we get this moment where Beachcomber just kind of feels like he didn't do enough, and he's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do more. I'm sorry, presumably going to say, I'm sorry I let you down, but Prime cuts him off, says no apologies. And then we get this great like embrace here. And Prime says, "You are the best of us, Beachcomber." And that is a great moment. I'm sure Carl will have plenty to say about that once we start breaking this down. But we might as well close out the last 2 pages here. And we have Carly commenting on how the power is out in the city and how everything is just dark. And then Carly notices that there's a light coming from Optimus's chest, and he opens his chest panels and discovers that the Matrix is starting to regenerate or come back to life, as he says, and that both it and he have been cured of the infection. And Carly maybe unintentionally emasculates Optimus Prime here a little bit by saying that the light is so small.
That's why it looks so sad.
But
it's like, damn.
I had a stressful day.
We get this beautiful callback to the conversation between Sparky and Optimus at the hospital when Sparky is kind of talking about how great and powerful Optimus Prime is, and they're like practically like gods compared to the humans, and talking about how small he is, insignificant, and in that moment Prime said small but mighty. And here we see Prime say small, yes, and then he has this vision. I interpreted this as like this vision of Sparky that just kind of gives way to Spike. And then we cut to the final splash of the issue, but still mighty. And it's just such a great page. Like everything is just shrouded in darkness, and the way that darkness is rendered here, it's just pitch black. And I know that they did this just for the effect of having all of this darkness surrounding our heroes, and there's a light in the darkness, and it's not a big light in the sky or anything. It's just it's a little light, but it's enough.
It's average.
Yes, it is. And with that, Daniel Warren Johnson's run on Transformers comes to a close. So, let's talk about this last section. Delta, do you have anything you want to say about it?
I have so many emotions. It's almost hard to start. I'm really excited, and I'll give my thoughts here real quick, but I am really excited to hear from you, Carl, about this very quick page with this kind of flashback of Sparky when Spike is born. But this whole interaction between Optimus and Beachcomber is just so beautiful. I think it's just a continuing testament to Jorge Corona and his direction of art, that you can see these panels, and even if you were to take away the dialogue, you could still feel the emotional weight that's happening on these pages with Optimus and Beachcomber kind of bonking heads, and having this understanding between them. This also ending being a callback to Sparky, this whole conversation about being small but mighty. Swizz can again attest to this around 4 a.m. when we were reading it. And we got to this page, and Optimus says, "Small, yes." I didn't even turn the page digitally, and I was like, I know what he's gonna say. I'm on it. And as soon as I clicked that page and it turned, I stood up and I was, "Let's go!" It was just such a it was such an exciting moment that it made me forget that I joked with Swizz that it would be hilarious if Optimus wakes up and sees Spike, and Spike says, "I can't feel my legs again." Maybe not as funny, maybe a little sad. Thankfully, that didn't happen. He can still walk. But yeah, just such an emotional roller coaster that's kind of led up to this moment, and then it's this, man. It's just the perfect ending. I don't even know how to explain it. Just Optimus saying it, seeing Sparky, and then Sparky turn to Spike, and then having him say that line again. I literally don't even have words to explain how much I love this, and I almost feel like I'm cheating myself out of talking about it more.
No, I mean, sometimes, we're going live on the day that it came out, right? Sometimes we need more time to process this stuff to kind of verbalize. Like, sometimes it just hits in the feels, and that's just the way that it is. But Swizz, what about you?
Oh, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and play this. Round of applause for Daniel Warren Johnson for the story, and to quote Smiley in the chat, this series means so much to me, man. Like, I want to ask you guys this: do you guys feel like there's like a song playing like when you're reading these last couple pages? Like, to me, I literally think of like the song from the first Transformers movie, the live action one, where it's Arrival to Earth. Like, it's just, I see some people saying like Linkin Park. That'd be funny. What? But no, that's so powerful, dude. Like rereading it last night when I was putting together the video, I was like, wow, like, but still mighty. Like, oh, it means something to me, man. It really does. It's so
a great
good.
way. It's a great way to end the
Great way to
series.
end it. It's like, I don't know how else you could end the story arc. Like, and I want to talk about this too. Like, the start of these last couple pages. Like, you finally see what this what Optimus has been seeing the last couple of volumes, where it's like the corrupted looking vision, and you finally get to see what it actually is, and it's just Sparky holding Spike for the first time. It's just such a gut punch, dude.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah, that's a great catch. But yeah, it's just an effective callback, which this series has been full of very effective callbacks that coming full circle moments. Carl, what do you have?
Terrible.
Yeah, we knew it. We knew you were going to say that.
I knew it. Hater, such a hater.
You were one of those commenters that Swizz is going against.
Yeah, it's one
I
of my I have many accounts that I like to just start nonsense on the internet. That's what I do. No, I mean this is after so we got a lot of emotional stuff in issue 23, and it was a lot of great emotional stuff, and then we got a lot of just pure action in this issue, and I love that in true Daniel Warren Johnson fashion, we brought it home with like the heartfelt stuff, and like that's what it needed to be. And the scene with Sparky being handed Spike for the first time, and it's just like that got me right in the feels for
It's
sure.
so
And it
Daniel
was
Warren
the
Johnson.
idea that yeah, absolutely, and it's that precise moment is what the visions were, and it was Sparky coming through Optimus, and it's what Optimus was seeing. And then I turned the page, and then I got to that, like the top panel of Optimus holding Spike, and I was like, that looks familiar. Like that really looks familiar. And it actually is like the first like time that you see, I think it's issue 7. You see Optimus holding, like you see the vision. You see like Optimus holding, and it's like, oh, that's like a callback to that. That's a callback. And Moon, you're talking about all the callbacks. That's a callback right there. It's like the first vision that Optimus had, and it's I was like, that was so fitting to bring it back to that. And I love the transition of it's Spike, or it's Sparky seeing Spike, and then it's Dad Prime. And you turn the page, and it's Optimus holding Spike, and like the sense of the fact that you can see Optimus Prime like let out a sigh of relief. His head goes back like, oh, like thank the Primes. The sense of joy and relief that he has in that moment that's an amazing way. Like the fact that we can feel that in a robot drawn by Jorge Corona needs to be pointed out at what special art that Jorge has been able to draw for us since issue 7. Daniel Warren Johnson, you hear all the time talking about the heart of the story and the emotions of the story, and like that's without art that matches that, it's just well written words, and we get the visual display of it here, and it's like I absolutely love that, and he should be commended for all the work that he has done. And in the follow up to that moment is the Beachcomber moment, and it's just, man, justice for Beachcomber, man. Like it reminds me of it's a continuation from the conversation that Prime and Beachcomber had in, what was it, issues, I don't figure what it's 16, 17, somewhere in there, where Prime is saying, hey, you need to why don't you join us, why don't you step in, and it's Beachcomber laying out his reasons why, and it's he doesn't want to do this anymore, he can't participate, and he still feels terrible, like I wish I could do more, like this is just how I feel and what I believe, and Prime pulling him close and like, you are the best of us, Beachcomber. Like I that panel is yeah. Thank you for putting that up on there. That's such a beautiful panel. And it's amazing, and I'm glad that Beachcomber is getting his props in that moment, because it's like Prime's like, I don't fully agree with your stance, but I understand it and I admire it, and it's accepting him for who he is, and it's like, look, I know you can't fight. I know that's not going to be who you are, but you're still one of us. You will still be useful. You will still be helpful, and you are part of this family. And it's him like kind of like accepting who he is. And it's like, if that's not a beautiful dad moment, I don't know what is. And it's just absolutely loved it. And again, as much as I thought the issue 23 moment would have been such a fitting way for him to go, I would not trade that at this point, because we'd miss out on moments like this. The earlier moment in the issue where it's Beachcomber saying like, Prime, please just let it be me. Like I'll save the humans. I'll do this, and then you get this moment here. Like I'm glad Beachcomber's not gone. And yeah, beautiful. And then really quickly to close out the idea that this last page of everything in shadows, just seeing the light, it's a great closeout to Optimus Prime's story arc in this 24 issues. He is now, as terrible as whatever their actions are in this war between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and whatever his role is in it, he will be a signal of hope. He wants to be that light for this planet. He has chosen to be this character, this protector of Earth. And it's their way of showing like, that's who I am. That's my identity now. I'm gonna be the light in the darkness. And God, that's amazing. So well done. And yeah, that's a beautiful and fitting way for this, this 24 issues to end. And again, it has to be said, obviously we know it's not the end, but this was a great way for this part of the story to end.
Well said. Very well said. And with that, now we got to get to the part of the video where we give our ratings for the issue. So,
I've also
let's
real
see.
quick put a poll up. You can't have all 10 ratings for a poll, so I kind of had to fudge it a little bit, and we'll just, if you truly do think that it's an 8, we'll just count it as a 10. We'll round up for you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Delta, why don't we start with you?
Man, I want to give my rating with context to last issue. Last issue, I gave it, issue 23, I gave it a 10 out of 10. I know we don't have to, we talked about this last issue, that we don't have to justify our ratings anyways. You know, rating is how we feel. To me, this is always so hard. Man, why do you always make me go first? It's always so hard to rate. As a single issue, as a Transformers issue, just like, hey, I got this issue and I rate it. This to me is like a 9 out of 10. I know. But as the finale to Daniel Warren Johnson's story, and as I feel that this is really kind of almost like issue 23 part 2, in the same way that 13 and 14 kind of needed to go together, and how a lot of Daniel Warren Johnson comics, there's a few issues that almost feel like they were one issue that had to be split up. I feel like it is the perfect definitive ending for Daniel Warren Johnson's story. In that regard, I find it a 10 out of 10. As an issue itself, I'm going to leave it at a 9 out of 10. Not because I felt there was anything bad that happened. There was a few things that I wish we got a little more information on. However, just like with issue 12, when we got Daniel Warren Johnson wrapping up that story arc, there was a lot of unanswered questions that they did get to and that they did follow through on. So it's not that I have a lack of faith. I know they'll get to it. I wish I saw just a little bit more here and there. But yeah, I'm sitting like right in between a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10. It's just, I think it's the perfect ending to what Daniel Warren Johnson has been doing for 2 years, and I just can't ignore that. That's my rating.
Right on. Carl.
Ooh. You know, I don't even remember what I gave 23 at this point. I gotta be honest with you. Like, I think I gave it a 9 or a 10. I
Yeah, I'm
forget.
pretty sure you
It
gave it
was
a
up there.
9 because me and
I think-
Delta had 10s.
Okay, I think it was a 9. Yeah. And because it's really hard, and I echo what Delta is saying, because you do have to view these as a part 1 and a part 2 of the same issue. This is the finale. Are issues 23 and 24. As a single, it's crazy, because like I feel like I'll cut to the chase. I feel like this issue on its own is a 9, but issues 23 and 24 are 10s.
Yes.
like that's it, and because there are some things that like I would have wanted more from this issue. Like I wanted more from the Megatron and Optimus Prime fight. We got enough. I mean, we got enough to drive home the point that was being made. I think it was a great way that it gave us room for more of the other moments that needed to happen, that I'm glad we're here. But it could have been an issue of them fighting the whole time, and I'd be like, that was amazing. So I'm thrilled with what we have, but I feel like viewing it on its own, it's lacking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it is the perfect ending for where we are in the story, for Daniel Warren Johnson, to the Optimus Prime story arc, like I talked about before. I feel like it leaves the character in such a wonderful place. It did what it needed to do, while also leaving room and leaving story threads that will be explored down the line. Because again, this is ultimately, we're looking at 2 years of Transformers stories, but this is still essentially just the beginning. Like it's the opening, arc, essentially. Yeah, there's multiple volumes within this 24 issues, but like that's like the chunk of the story. It's like their first major confrontation between the Autobots and the Decepticons, and then where does it go from there? So yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I loved this closeout. Very fitting. Had issues with it, but I don't know that I would have changed a whole lot about it. So yeah.
I'm so happy
Yeah,
we
that's-
agree on this one. Not that I've ever been upset that we don't agree, but it's just nice to we finally agree on something.
Yeah, well.
For now.
Hey, when you're right, you're right. Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Let's see if we can keep the streak going. Swizz.
This gets a solid 7 plus 2, so 9.
minus
Um,
one plus two.
I really like this issue. Again, I think 23 was like, the best. Like I think, for me personally, like 23, 12, and 20 are like my top 3. And this one was so well done and a really good ending. And just like what Delta said, it's very similar to what 12 was, and wrapping up like that story arc. And I know some people don't like, like, oh, why was Megatron spared? Let's be honest. Do you guys really want like a new villain next volume, next story arc? No. You guys want Megatron because Megatron is the big bad, all right? If Megatron lasted a volume, everyone would be mad. There was no reason for him to be one and done here. And I think they did a great job showing, kind of like that 86 movie reference, like Moon said, where, he gets knocked over. So there's a lot of questions in this story still that have yet to be answered, which is always good for the next writer coming in. And thankfully, we have Robert Kirkman coming in. So I give this issue a solid 9. Great ending to the story arc, and I give this series as a whole like a 9. Yeah,
Whoa,
9
whoa,
out of 10.
whoa.
Am
We're
I?
not. Whoa. Jumping
Well,
ahead, Swizz.
okay. Don't.
He meant
I
Erase
give
that
the
from
whole
your
series a
memory.
7. 7, like
Oh.
0 out of 10.
9 minus 4 plus 2 divided by 3. Wow,
What he
we'll do the
said.
math later.
Oh, yeah, what he said. Don't listen to my last part, but everything else I was right on.
All right. Well, so this is, I believe this is a first for the channel, but I am also giving it a 9.
Let's go.
Yay.
It only
I don't
took
think
2
this has
years for us to
ever
get on
happened.
board with each other.
Let's get a clap for that.
Do
We
it.
are no longer looking for a fourth host.
We are at peace.
First time we all agreed on a rating. Let's go.
That's
Yay.
crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, my reasoning for it is pretty much in line with what Delta and Carl put forward. I feel like on its own, this is a solid 9. But if you look at it in terms of a a continuation or like a two-parter, like 23 and 24 make the whole like little story, then I would definitely view that as more of a 10. But yeah, on its own.
Sorry, not
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Just imagine if issues 23 and 24 were a double issue and we got that today and we were talking about it.
11.
There would be no question. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I feel like we would all be switched out those 9s to 10s because that was a great way to end it.
Probably.
11.
Everyone, I apologize, but I just
Yeah,
had
no. Probably. I think you're right. And because I mean, you look at those two issues and it really just kind of has it all in terms of what I love about this series. Uh, Absolutely phenomenal art by Jorge Corona. I really think that, I mean, he came to this series swinging, but by the end here, or well, not the end, but issue 24, um, I just feel like his work just got so much stronger, and it already started in a very strong place, and just the amount of callbacks, but the way that the callbacks were handled, where it just felt like we were building off of what came before. We weren't just referencing it to be self-referential or just to be like, do you remember how much you loved this moment? Do you remember how this moment won me an Eisner? Like that kind of thing. It's like it felt like there was meaning behind a lot of that stuff. And yeah, this is like this is the culmination of Optimus Prime's journey throughout this series. And it's just been a great journey. And to see the way that it played out and to see how it ended, how pivotal Sparky was to the conclusion of this series, which, I mean, we suspected. We talked about it in previous installments. Like, we suspected Sparky was going to play into it. I don't know that I expected it to be quite like this. Um, like, I knew he'd be instrumental to the plot moving forward, and I thought we would get some, meaningful emotional moments, but Sparky ended up being, I would say, just as much of the emotional core of this book in some ways as Optimus Prime. And the final shot with Prime being the light in the darkness, I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. So yeah, this is a solid 9 out of 10 for me. But, we're not going to stop there. We want to go through next and talk about what we would rate this run out of 10. Because yes, this is not the end. The series is going to continue on, but this kind of a historic occasion. Daniel Warren Johnson writing a Transformers book, so let's let's uh, let's talk about how we think that he did. And I won't put Delta or anybody else on the spot. I will go first this time. And, uh, you know, I'm not going to bury the lead here. I'm going to give this a 10. Like the whole series overall, I'm going to give it a
Whoa.
10 out of 10.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And that doesn't mean that I think that it's a perfect series. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it had some shortcomings or some flaws. But, I've been a Transformers fan for a long time now. And, I've been there for a lot of the Transformers comics. And so the way that I'm approaching this is as a Transformers comics fan. And I've seen, I've experienced a lot of the Transformers comics coming to a close, or coming a run from a creative team coming to a close. IDW1 is maybe the most, I would say that's maybe the most similar to this, because that continuity experienced several reboots with like the creative teams, whereas in the past, the books were just canceled or they just kind of ended, like in the case of Dreamwave. And so when I think about those series and how all their respective endings were handled, this was such an amazing way to approach launching a new Transformers series. And I'm not even like touching on the shared universe aspect, which does add a whole other dimension to it for sure. But just the Transformers side of it, knowing that Daniel Warren Johnson was going into it with a limited number of issues, but knowing that the series was going to continue, how well they balanced the demands of an ongoing comic with telling a complete whole story that felt like it had a really strong ending. Like this could be a jumping off point if people didn't want to continue. And like, yeah, you could argue that there are some unresolved things, but really, I think that this tells a very self-contained story that works extremely well. The ending does not feel rushed. Everything felt like it had a really nice place, and it built up to that ending in a very satisfying way. And of course, I have to mention the art. We got some really good art on this series. Johnson's first 6 issues, once in a lifetime run in terms of the art. We are never going to get anything like that again in Transformers comics. Like, no offense to anybody else who's stepping up and going to take the reins. It's going to be great work, I'm sure. But there's just not going to be anything quite like the energy of those first 6 issues. And, Jason Howard, also amazing. We only got him for, 2 issues, but I actually, I really loved his work and Ludo Lulabi as well. I know that was a divisive issue, one that I am a defender of for sure. And of course, Jorge Corona, who drew the bulk of the series, has become one of my favorite Transformers artists. Period. Like I love his style. I love the emotion, the action, his compositions. It's it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And of course, Mike Spicer and Sarah Stern's colors, those deserve a shout out as well because they really made everything pop. And there's just some just gorgeous, gorgeous art that really brings the emotional beats home. So, anyway, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It gave me a G1 series that I didn't know that I wanted, that I didn't think that I wanted. And it kind of proved to me that G1 still has some life left in it and that there are still a lot of good stories that can be told within that kind of cartoon continuity. But anyway, Swizz, let's move on to you. What do you think about the series overall? Kind of gave us a hint of it already.
Yeah, I gave you guys a little Easter egg, a little hint of what I thought about the series. Totally didn't just, say what the rating was. Definitely a 9, for sure. It's a hard 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10. I mean, like, I think like having it as a 10, but also acknowledging like you said, Moon, like, there was some things that, you liked and didn't like. And that's kind of how I am as well. But I'm still gonna give it like a solid 9 out of 10, which is really good, by the way. Like we say that in every episode we record this. It's like, hey, these ratings are high. These are good ratings, okay? So a 9 out of 10. And like what made this story just so awesome. And I will, man, it's like the third time I've said this in the last 24 hours, but this is truly how like this is truly how I feel about this story, right? I think this story, and I've seen a lot of people in the chat mention this, so I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who feels this way. This was a great gateway for people to explore Transformers comics, because this story just kind of not that it came out of nowhere, but it's what you said, Moon, like about G1 still has some life to it. And, seeing this and seeing how good the writing is, seeing how good the art is, seeing how good the emotion is in each issue, it's just so rich in the writing. And I love it. And I'm very grateful for Daniel Warren Johnson, and I'm grateful for all the artists and everyone at Skybound for this story. And I cannot wait for the future of the series, and I hope it has the same, tones of writing that this story arc had. But this was a great way to dive into the comic side of Transformers, which I feel like for a long time, and I will argue this, and people say I'm wrong, and that's fine, but I think this is the most popular Transformers comics has ever been. Period. I've never seen Transformers comics make this much noise. So it's been a great gateway and a just a great way for people to get, into comics itself. As for me, getting into Skybound, it's made me want to read, IDW, it's made me want to read the Marvel stuff. I mean, I'm chipping at it very slowly, but it's been a great time. So easy 9 out of 10.
And I think that's just so cool. Like personally, as somebody who's like been into comics like pretty much my whole life and like Transformers pretty much my whole life and Transformers comics. I think that it's so cool that the series is still around and like this, especially this one that is so geared towards, it feels like it's geared towards people like me. And so the fact that it appeals to people who maybe, you know, didn't grow up with G1, or they, grew up with more iterations of Transformers than G1. The fact, or the fact that it appeals to people who don't read comics, like I think that's awesome. Like I love that. It's just another win for this series as far as I'm concerned. Um, Carl, what are your thoughts on the overall run?
I have so I like you, Moon, in the sense that I've been into comics my entire life. I've well, since my teenage years. I've dipped in and out of comics in large gaps just because, life happens. But this series, like I have not been since my teenage years, I have not been this excited about a month to month comic since then. The way that this series just kind of captured my imagination, it had a great, you know, modern art feel with the presentation with Janet Warren Johnson, and then followed through largely by Jorge Corona. Um, I've not felt that in years, and the fact that you know I saw a comment in the chat that said that all comics are like this at the beginning, where it's very good, and then it can be easier to tell a great story when it's earlier on in the series, and then things can get convoluted down the line. Um, and that's true, uh, but it's rare that a series does this for 24 issues. That it kept the pace up. And I would say up until this point, I would say my some of my least favorite issues were issues 13 and 14. I like them. I liked the origin that we got a Starscream, but it just felt like a step back in the sense of it was a flashback. It kind of took me out of the momentum of the story. But the fact that we get the callback with Omega Supreme here, go back and read those issues again, and those issues just became that much more important. And to the story, so the way that he was able to tie in the Omega Supreme and Starscream, Ultra, all that stuff. That's brilliant. I mean, that's amazing, and it shows that when you give a creative mind the ability to tell this story that they want to tell and now again, it's not just him telling the story, because it is the Energon universe. There is the connective nature. We still, I'm sure that Kirkman had some say along the way, um, but but you can tell that Danny Warren Johnson was able to tell the story that he wanted to tell, and to keep that momentum up for all 24 issues that should be commended. It's a 10 out of 10 for me all day long, because I've reread this series multiple times, and it's just as exciting, it's just as impactful, and that's not true for so many comics. In a comics world that is so visually driven, the pairing of the emotional moments that we get with the beautiful art, a lot of times it's like it's great art, it's okay writing, it's not, it's still kind of limps along, and it's fun, but it leans on nostalgia. It's a new take on it, but this I don't I don't want this to be the case, but I feel like, again, this is like a high point for the Transformers comics, and I want this momentum to keep going, but I have my fears that this might be the high point, and I don't want that to be true. But it's a tough act to follow where we're going in the future. Kirkman and Mora are capable creators, but I don't know. I don't know. I am cautiously optimistic that the momentum will be sustained, because of the fact that they sustained it for 24 issues is amazing. So yeah, I love this series, and I can't wait to go back and read it all from the beginning again. Now that we have this all full 24 issues of his story.
Well said. Yeah, like I have read it multiple times as well. I can see myself coming back to it multiple times in the future. It's really hard to describe just how excited I was for October 2023 to roll around. And yeah, it's one of those things where I just kind of have very, very fond memories about it. And, just real quick, as for what you said about Kirkman and Mora, I'm with you. I am excited that the series is continuing on. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. These are big shoes to fill for sure. Which sounds crazy because it's Robert Kirkman, and I'm not super familiar with Dan Mora, but I know his name. So these guys are not you know nobodies, right? So, but time will tell in terms of what is going to happen. I will say that uh, Comic Tropes put up an interview, a short little interview with Kirkman today, I think actually, and that that got me a little bit more excited and a little bit more curious about what Kirkman might have in store. So definitely check that out. But we got one more rating left. Delta.
It's me, the Daniel Warren Johnson hater. You guys know I hate him so much because I talk about him 24/7. No. Man, just listening to you guys and bouncing back and forth in my head and what I want to rate this. And when it comes to rating things, I always think about the movies in my life that mean so much to me. And I think about, just in my head, maybe even my top 3 movies I've ever seen of all time that I would give a 10 out of 10, not because they're perfect products, but because they have such a deep emotional meaning to me that I can say without a doubt in my mind that it doesn't matter where I am in life. It doesn't matter what things change in my life, how I change as a person. Those movies, those stories will always sit with me at my core. And this story from Daniel Warren Johnson is the same. And so because of that, I have to give it a 10. Like a lot of us said, for me, it's not a 10 because there is, 0 issues. Of course not. It's a 10 because it's just that feeling. It means so much to me. To see Daniel Warren Johnson pull it off, to pull off this 2-year story. This is the longest series that he's done, that he's written, at least to my knowledge, unless there's a Daniel Warren Johnson comic that I'm not aware of. To see that he can pull this off is spectacular to me. The consistent hit rate of this story, even when there's issues that, I may have rated, the dreaded 7. Oh no, a 7 is a death warrant. Just to see this finalized, I as well am trepidatious about the future. I'm excited for it, but I also know that even if the future of Transformers Skybound is not what we want, if it's not, hitting the marks that we really want, it won't ever undo this run, which we all know. It's just something that I always like to say, is that I think, in my heart, I think that Daniel Warren Johnson has successfully told one of, if not the greatest Transformers story that we've ever had. And I am ready to fight those forum commenters about that. Whoever, Swizz and I are going to go to battle with them. Oh, wait, no, Swizz did a 9. Nah, Swizz, you're my enemy. No, it's a 10.
I feel like I'm going to be pressured to change my answer.
No, don't change it.
No.
Stick to your guns.
The first time ever I felt pressured.
No, because I was, when you talked, Swizz, when you finished up, I was like, yeah, this is a 9 for me. And I was sitting here and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with a 9. There's nothing wrong with a 9. And as I thought, well, stick with your guns. Your 9 is not a death warrant.
It's still a good score.
It's such a good
crazy.
score.
We say this every
We
time.
do. It's
These
like
are
we're
high
justifying it to
scores.
ourselves.
Exactly.
The only thing that your 9 means is that you hate this comic.
Yeah, that's
all
really all it
means.
is.
I mean,
yeah.
okay.
It's pretty
It's really
simple.
okay. You hate it.
Yeah,
And
like
chat
look
knows
what
that.
Victor said in the chat. I failed. We could have had synchronized the ratings.
No. This is
my
exactly No. This is exactly where it needed to be. So I like it. I like this.
Yeah. absolutely. I mean, I'm not surprised that it ended up where it did. Um, really, I kind of didn't expect 3 10s, so that's kind of cool to see. But I mean, yeah, I would have been shocked if any of us gave it anything below an 8. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just I think it all goes back to like for me like what Delta said is the feeling you get when you read this story, and I can't imagine a time where that feeling is going to be any different than it is right now. I mean, I just love this 24 issue run. It's just
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, and like the feeling, like that's a big part of it, of what I think, makes it unique. Like, and of course, I'm not saying that no other Transformers comics have achieved that or have had like I'm not saying that they haven't had heart. Uh, the season 1 of More Than Meets the Eye is also one of my top runs. It has plenty of heart, but it's just different. It's just a different approach to Transformers, and I think sometimes that gets lost a little bit because it is so G1. I think a lot of people kind of write it off as it's not really doing anything new, and I don't agree. I don't feel the same way. It just you know the heart that is there is, I think, something that really separates it from everything else out there. But
Agree. Yeah.
we should probably think about wrapping this up. We've been yapping for about close to 2 hours now, and I know that Delta is about to keel over. So
From no sleep. It was worth it. It was worth it. That's how I knew it was a 10. Yeah.
Sacrificed for this comic.
That's how I knew it was a 10 when I was crawling into bed at 5 a.m. knowing I would wake up at 6:30 a.m. and be like, "What am I doing with my life?" And then being, "Oh yeah, Transformers. That's what I'm doing." I probably won't do that
The
again. though.
freaking Transformer.
Oh.
So I know that yeah, we wanted to get to more of a like kind of a Q&A session. Um, Swizz and Delta were involved in the chat a little bit. I think just due to the nature of what we were covering here and how long it was, I think we're just going to have to bump that to a future live stream. But definitely interested in doing this again. Really appreciate everybody showing up, turning up for this. It's amazing to see. Hope that it was enjoyable. We love this series, obviously, based on the ratings, and we love talking about this series. We can't shut up about it sometimes. And so, you know, that's something else about this series is that, I I when I started my YouTube channel, I never expected uh anything that happened with my YouTube channel to happen. And kind of found a little community, and I found some friends in this whole thing. And we started doing this, started talking to each other, and everybody else, we got other people to talk to here in the chat. And so, yeah, hoping to keep this going and maybe doing some more live streaming uh, in the future. So thank you for joining us on this journey. We're very grateful, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out and like the video, and check out our respective channels. It should be linked somewhere down below once we post this on the YouTubes. And yeah.
And hey, don't forget. Sorry to interrupt. These
No.
episodes are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. They go live the same exact time that they go live on YouTube. And this live stream will be converted over into a regular episode that you can watch on YouTube as a separate video and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. They're normally up by Friday or Saturday, but given that I'm kind of sleepy, it may be a little extra while.
That's some nice promoting there, Delta. Good work.
We gotta get those clicks, guys. People don't know we're making cents off of these clicks. We're not making anything. We do it for the love of
we're not making-
Transformers.
Yeah.
Do it for
Yeah.
the passion. Because
Absolutely.
we're podcasters. We're inventors.
We're inventors. All right, now we're
What-
we're not
what do you
doing
want?
the movies.
I can't wait when we do the movie reviews.
No.
That's gonna happen
No.
eventually. Teletran Tapes reviews the live action
Moon,
Transformers
stop
movies.
him.
Make it happen. Mark the calendar, folks.
All right. Yeah. So, thanks to everyone. Thanks to my co-hosts.
Thank
Thanks
you,
to
man.
everyone watching this. Thanks to Skybound, Daniel Warren Johnson, Jorge Corona, the whole gang. This has been a blast. All right. We will catch you guys next time.
See
Take care.
everybody. Thanks for stopping
Later.
by.